This week, today's homeowner is tackling some of the everyday challenges of homeownership. We'll talk to a high-profile homeowner about some of these not-so-high-profile problems and offer solutions for her house and yours. For many, owning a home is a big part of the American dream, but once you own one, you quickly realize that there's a few more challenges to it than simply paying the mortgage. You know, those little things that just tend to happen and you never even think about them until you're the one that has to deal with it? Well, this week we're going to focus on a number of those things that need to be done when you own a home. Recently, Alan and I visited with a West Coast homeowner who also happens to be a television host.
Did you ring the doorbell?
No.
Oh, good, because it doesn't work. It's broken.
Laura Saltman is an entertainment correspondent for Access Hollywood, and like the rest of us, she faces a few challenges as a homeowner.
My lovely toilet here. Sometimes it likes to run all by itself, and I'll flush it, and it'll just keep running and running and running, and I don't know how to fix it. So I just turn the water off. And then like a week later I come back and I turn the water back on and all of a sudden it doesn't run anymore. And it still flushes, so I just leave it like that. And then it gets better. The chain rusted out.
Oh, okay.
So instead of going and buying a new chain and fixing it, because I really don't know how to fix it, I just I took the part of the chain that wasn't rusted
There you
and
go.
I attached.
There you go, that's the way it works.
And as if on cue, Alan has the answer.
When it wants to keep running, it's because this float right here is not coming up in time.
Okay.
So what I've done, see this little metal clip? I've pushed it, or you pinch it here on each side, boom, boom, top and bottom. You pinch it and push it so that this little rod right here is further down.
Okay.
Or actually further up, so that little clip is further down on the rod. That forces this to come up sooner.
Okay.
And because it's down there, the pressure's keeping it up more.
All right.
So that should keep it from running too much.
Okay, so instead of turning it off,
Right, yeah, don't turn it off. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. The chain, you can actually get a plastic chain to replace this so it won't rust anymore.
Okay, and how do you, what do you do?
It clips on, there's a hole here.
Yeah.
And there's a hole on top of this.
So all I need is
flapper.
the chain. I don't
That's all you
actually
need.
it's as simple as a chain.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you needed like the whole plasticky,
No.
rubbery thing at the
You
bottom
can get just
there.
the chain.
Oh, you just need to replace the chain.
And when you go to replace it, you already know what to do. Turn the water off.
Turn the water. See, I wouldn't have known that actually.
Turn the water off and flush it, then all the water's out
Then all
of
the
it.
water will be down.
Then you can
okay.
replace the
So
chain.
it's just as simple as an actual chain.
That's
I thought
it.
it was the whole contraption.
Nope.
I can do that.
Another plumbing maintenance chore that some homeowners overlook is the water heater. Now, you need to make sure that it's in good running order, and to do that, you need to drain it a couple of times a year just to make sure that it's running effectively and that you get all that sludge and grime and mineral buildup out of the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain it. So I'm going to shut the water off right here where it comes into the water heater. Now, I've already shut the power off to my water heater, and I've also connected down here at the bottom my garden hose, because this is how the water's going to drain through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this valve right here, and now what I need to do is release the pressure in there so that it can start to drain. Can you hear all that? So now what I'm going to do is just make sure that it drains properly and that all the water comes out. And then once it's done, I'll put everything back in place, fill it back up, and we'll be ready to go. Okay, now that the water heater is running effectively, let's check in on another area that might get overlooked, and that's your air conditioning unit. Now, this is the air handler, and everybody knows that you need to periodically change out your air filters just to make sure they're running effectively, and also that you're not getting any of these airborne problems inside your house and breathing those in. So change out those air filters. But here's something else that you can do to keep the maintenance on your air conditioning unit to a minimum, and that is this. Now, this line right here is the condensation drain line for your air unit. And what I've got is a cup of bleach. Now, I'm just going to pour this bleach down in this line, because over time, with all the water that gets passed through this line in the form of condensation, mold and mildew can actually start to build up. And there we go. See how easy that is? Now all I've got to do is put the cap back on and we are good to go. Now let's check in with Joe for this week's Simple Solution.
One of the many reasons I love doing simple solutions is it allows me to show you ways to expand the versatility of everyday tools. Today we're talking about a vacuum. Here I have a wet-dry vacuum, but this tip will work with a household vacuum as well. Most vacuums come with an accessory that looks like this. It's called a crevice tool. It's long and narrow and has an angled slot on the end. What you do is it fits onto the wand or the hose and allows you to vacuum out small spaces. But even this opening is too large to vacuum out really tight spaces. So we're going to fix that by using a flexible rubber hose that you can get at any home center. This one happens to be about 3/8 inch in diameter. You can just wedge it into the opening of the crevice tool, then secure it with a piece of tape. This holds the hose in place but also closes off that opening so all the suction power goes to the end. I'm going to use it to clean off this dusty keyboard. You can see the hose fits right in between the keys, and you can compress it for even the tighter spaces. Now to expand the versatility even more, for extremely tight spaces, you can take a drinking straw, slip it into the end of the hose, and use that to clean out deep holes and tight crevices.
This week, we're taking a look at everyday home ownership. You know, those little ins and outs you have to figure out in order to take care of the place you call home. We don't expect to turn anyone into a professional handyman, but a little knowledge about how things work is helpful, whether you do the work yourself or hire a pro. Alan and I found some of those issues in the Los Angeles home of Laura Saltman from TV's Access Hollywood. And it seems Laura needs some help with some stubborn closet doors.
The good thing about having closet doors that you can't close is you have to have a nice clean closet.
Right,
so you can't
yeah.
have like stuff everywhere. So that's good. But it causes for me a space issue because I have to put all the clothes I really need
Right.
on this side
Right,
because
yeah.
I can't get to anything over there. So anything that's old or things that I don't wear anymore is shoved in the back since or I have to climb in the closet like this.
All right.
And that really doesn't work for me. So.
And something like that aggravates you every day.
Yes, it
It's one of
does
the- It's one of,
aggravate
it's
me
one of
every
those
day.
things, simple,
Yep.
little problem,
Yes.
but every day you're.
Yes. And I've broken many a nail when there is something that I've had to get out of that end.
no, that's getting
I've
serious,
broken
breaking the
Because
nails.
it comes so tight here, and if you all right, I'll even show you. So if you close this all the way, you notice that there's really no way.
Right,
Except
right.
these two little things.
Oh, yeah.
So how many nails have I broken? About 10 trying to get this stupid thing open. And then you have to shove your fingers in there and then push it over.
Hey, Chris.
So there you go. Closet doors.
Better than going to the gym.
That's true. This is the good closet I'm showing you. It's got the Manolos and the Jimmy Choos
Oh,
and
there you go.
YSLs
Yeah,
for
of
work.
course.
Instead of closing the doors, I just leave them open. Whoops. Yeah. That's it.
That's probably just a little a paint, or maybe paint buildup or some type
Yeah.
of adjustment in there.
Yes. I mean, they're old, obviously. Hey, took it off.
Let's find
I would
out.
just take the doors off. And then I can show everybody my closet.
We'll let Alan break out his tools and see what he can do
Yeah.
with that.
Right on the bottom, if you look, there are two metal pieces, here and here. And it's worn down over time. It's
Yeah.
pushed the metal up.
Okay.
You can do one of two things. Try to replace those little metal pieces. I wouldn't try because it's going to be hard to find something like that.
Okay.
Here's what you can do, though. You can actually shave down part of this door either with a plane or sandpaper so that actually what you're doing is bringing this closer to the runner.
Okay.
Then, as Danny mentioned earlier, some paraffin wax on the runner here.
Yeah.
What you would do, you know what you want to
Can you replace the doors though?
Yes, put in a bifold.
Put in a button. But do you have to pull out the entire casing in order to do that? No.
Not at all. You can
Okay.
pull all this out. If you can remove this, that's fine. I did this at my house.
Okay.
And all I did was put a piece of 1/4-inch plating up here
Yes.
to cover it. And then the track goes there, and it's done.
See, that's where the handyman comes in
it
that I
does.
need that.
I do know a cabinet maker in Canoga Park.
Oh, okay.
I might give him a shout. Say,
All
hey,
right.
what can
all
we do
right.
here?
Okay. Yeah, I think I asked someone if they could be replaced, and they thought maybe they'd have to pull the entire casing out, and it would be a big old project. So.
You don't have to at all.
Okay, so I could put new doors in, because that would definitely be the way to go.
It would look better. It'd be
Yes.
easier on you.
Yes, then
to
it'd be
show off
much
the
easier to
shoes.
get to the Jimmy Choos
That's
and the
right.
Manolos and the Louboutins, and that's really what it's all about.
When I bought my first home, I was very excited, of course, but also a bit overwhelmed thinking I needed to know everything about home repair. The truth is you don't need to know everything, but there are a few tricks you need to know, including how to repair a ripped window screen. First, you want to be able to keep the bugs out of your house, but also it's hard to get a professional to come out just to fix one screen. Now, if the frame itself is damaged, you can go to a home center and buy this aluminum screen frame and these snap-in corners, which just pop in, and then you can attach that one's kind of tight. Let me try this end. Here you go. Pops right in, right? So you get 4 corners and 4 pieces of frame. You can make your own window screen. But here we're going to show how to replace the ripped screen, starting in the corner. Just pop out the spline. Once you've pulled out the spline, remove the old screen. The new screen comes on a roll, so you'll have to cut a piece slightly larger than the frame. To attach the screen, you'll need a spline roller. This tool has a wheel on either end, one convex and one concave. The convex one pushes the screen into the groove in the screen frame, and the concave wheel forces the rubber spline into the groove to hold the screen. Attach the 2 opposite ends first to keep the screen snug and to avoid any wrinkles. When the remaining edges are secured, you can trim the excess with a utility knife, and the window screen is as good as new.
You know, there always seems to be that one pesky project that homeowners don't like to do. And for me, it's exterior cleaning with a pressure washer. But you know what? Husky is going to make that a lot easier for me and for you. They have basically reinvented the electric pressure washer with their new Hydro Surge. Now, this patented wand here by them is pretty neat because here along the top tube delivers water up to 1600 psi to get that really strong, powerful punch to loosen up all the dirt. While this tube here at the bottom can deliver up to 2.5 gallons per minute. And with the soap dispenser right here, you put the soap in and the water is dispensed, or the soap is dispensed right down through here. So not only are you loosening up the dirt, but you're washing it away. Another thing that I like about this is look how easy it is to just make those connections because it's got a quick change for the tip, so it's very easy to install. Another thing I like about this is it's very sturdy because the gravity of weight is here at the bottom, so it's not going to tip over like you might find with some other pressure washers. I think this just makes outdoor cleaning that much more enjoyable. I think I'm going to have to get one. I have no more excuses.
This week, we're getting the whole team involved in uncapping the answers to some day in and day out homeownership problems, like the ones we found in the home of Laura Saltman from Access Hollywood.
And then there's a lot of this happening in my house where I wouldn't know what the first thing what to do is this wainscoting. Excuse me,
Oh, I
doggy.
see it's coming loose
yeah,
right there.
it comes loose there. And it tends to happen a lot in the house.
Well, with this being loose like that, it's not hard to push it back in, but you can buy some of the construction adhesive or maybe even the double part epoxy, any of the home centers, and then basically it's like a little syringe. Just hold it out and then just inject a little bit along the top of that, then maybe put a book or something to hold that in just for, overnight, and you'll be in good shape. Or if you can get the dog to sit there long enough, then you can take care of that.
She can just cover it up.
Right.
So I shouldn't use like super glue.
No, it's actually super glue. That type of glue will soak into the, because the back side of it, I'm sure, is not painted, and it would soak into the grain of the wood and just never would work. So you need something that has some buildup on it. But you'll see it like in the stores how they have the long aisles with different adhesives, and just get one that's good for wood, some kind of construction adhesive or epoxy, and that'll be an easy fix there.
Okay, I could probably do that.
Chances are the interior walls and ceilings of your home are covered with gypsum wall board, which is commonly called drywall. Now, sooner or later, you're going to end up with small nail holes and dents, perhaps even a few holes to go clean through. That's why it's really important to learn to make these repairs yourself. Now, for minor damage like this, you can fix just with some pre-mixed joint compound. You scoop some up onto a 6-inch drywall knife, and you can just smear it right over them. You want to overfill it a little bit, let that dry. You'll probably want to sand it down and apply a second coat. Now, for a hole that goes clean through, the repair is a little more complicated. Now, if it's caused by a doorknob, you might want to try, one option is to buy this self-stick plastic disc. You just put it on the wall, and then paint over it, and it'll hide the hole and protect the wall. But a more permanent repair, you can use a drywall patch. This is a piece about 5 inches square that I cut out of a larger piece, and I'm just going to center it over the hole and trace around it. Then I'm going to cut it out. Okay, so with the hole cut out, I'm now going to screw in a couple of wooden cleats. Slip them in, just overlap the hole a little bit, and I'll show you why in a second. That'll give me some place to screw the patch in place, a drywall patch. After applying a layer of joint compound over the entire patch, embed pieces of paper tape covering the seam between the patch and the wall surface itself. then cover it with more joint compound and thin it out using a 6-inch and a 10-inch wide knife to have a nice smooth surface. Okay, at this point you just want to let it dry overnight, then come back, sand it lightly, and apply another thinner layer of joint compound over it with a wider knife. And you're going to do it, sand it after it dries, and apply at least one more, a third final coat, feathering it out onto the wall surface. Let that dry, sand it, then prime it and paint it, and it's as good as new.
Now, another area in your home that may need some maintenance or repair are your windows. Now, in this particular application, this window has been painted and sealed shut with caulking. So the homeowner, if they wanted to get some ventilation or even try to get out this window in a case of emergency, could not. So what I'm going to do is show you how to break this seal up really quickly when you've got a painted shut window. Now, the first thing I did is I went in on the inside and I took my utility knife and I scored all the way around the sash where it meets the frame to break up all that paint and that caulking. Then what I did is I took my putty knife and I wedged that down in there as well, just to make sure that I broke it all up. Then I came outside and I did basically the exact same thing with my utility knife and also with my putty knife, and I had to use a hammer a couple of times to get that putty knife all the way in there. Now what I'm ready to do is take my pry bar and I'm going to just very gently try to pry this up. Now I may have to use my hammer just to kind of knock it in there. But when you're prying up a window, you just want to go really slowly. Look at all that glazing and stuff just popping off. You want to just work from side to side just so you can get all of that released so you can gently raise that window. That's pretty good. I'm going to sit here and work a little bit more on this window. Why don't we check in with Danny and see what he's got going on as far as greening?
Using a rain barrel is one of those no-brainer ideas. It's the perfect solution for free additional landscape watering. Some of the rain barrel systems on the market are pretty expensive, but here's how you can create your own for about 50 bucks. Start with a rugged 32-gallon garbage can. Drill a hole near the bottom and put in a hose bib using rubber washers on each side and a nut to hold it in place. Next, cut a hole in the top for a strainer basket to help keep out leaves and twigs. Be sure to drill some small holes in the edge of the lid to be able to fasten it securely with some zip ties. Place the can on a couple cinder blocks and attach your downspout into the strainer basket, and you've got your own rain barrel. You can attach a hose to water any plants you may have, or attach a soaker hose and run it around the plants in your flower bed, and all the water is free. Owning a home is always an adventure, but it also has its share of mundane day-to-day problems to solve and prevent. It does help a little bit to know more about like how a toilet works, how different aspects of the
Well, if I knew it was that easy with the toilet, I would have fixed it a long time ago.
So that's what we try to share a lot of that.
I'm not helpless, I'm just hopeless. That's what my mom always says.
So that knowledge is empowering.
Yes, knowledge is empowering, and I will definitely try to fix things here and there, and take your advice on checking references and talking to people that I work with who know people, to have someone come in and fix, so that things won't go to disarray in my house.
Well,
I love my house.
We'll be back out here in a month or so.
Oh, great.
We'll have to come by and
check it
check,
out.
see how the list is working
Yeah.
out. Next week, we're back on the West Coast, checking out what's new on the horizon for eco-friendly living. So to help you out on some of your projects,
Okay.
this is all yours.
Oh, wow.
So you get to keep all these different things.
Thank you.
And there's an old thing about home improvement
Okay.
that, if it doesn't move,
Yes.
you use this.
Okay.
If it moves and you don't want it to move, then you use this.
Okay.
So you're in good shape here.
Gotcha. All right.